Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready?
Come on now.
Rocket. I saw you were with them last night. I saw you were with them last night. Don't burn the bridge, burn the paper. Don't burn the bridge, burn the paper.
Yeah, that's engaging time. Don't burn the bridge, burn the paper. Engaging time coming to a venue near you. By the way, folks, not to digress, but I'm going to. Personal privilege here. Engaging time, yours truly, my other alter ego, if you will be doing 3 recordings over the next couple of weeks between now and a little bit after Thanksgiving. And I'm going to put some video stuff up, and I'm going to see what happens at Americans Got Talent, because a few people have suggested I do this, and what the heck. If I don't do anything, then the answer is going to be no. If I do something and they don't like it, that's okay. And if they do like it, I don't know what's going to happen from there. But stay tuned. I'm doing 3 90-second videos. For those of you that are listening, if you want to take a look at those, if I like them, I will send them to you. If I don't like them, they ain't going to see the light of day. They will be deleted before they see the light of day. So anyway, yes, engaging time. And then after the holidays, probably the life will be slowing down just a little bit. Right now, it's massive chaos in my professional life with Obamacare and corporate benefits and renewals and Medicare and stuff like that. It's just it's very hectic. So not complaining, just saying. Anyway, welcome back. This is your Insurance Corner at 6:35 on November 19th, 2024. This is 101.5 FM WLCB, Slade's Corner, Wisconsin. Welcome back, everybody. We are coming to you live from the Round Lake Heights studios in Round Lake Heights, Illinois. Next week is the week of Thanksgiving. And as I speak right now, it is highly likely I will not be here live. But I'm just going to put since I don't have any producers here, Sean and Chris, I may want to do a taped program for next week. So I just need your 2 cents since I've never done that before. So stay tuned. My son Randy's coming in from Florida. So we're going to do turkey dinner that night, and then Thursday we're heading out to Michigan to my wife's family's. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law have a farm out in Fenville, Michigan. Very beautiful place. And as we like to say, Uncle Fred is a gourmet chef, so we're going to enjoy Thanksgiving with the family on Thanksgiving Day. And I know one of my sons will be with his girlfriend. Another one of my sons is coming with Ryan, who is the person who's responsible for pushing everything up to Spotify and my website. And then Taylor, I think, is going to be home helping another family member, extended family member, at Thanksgiving, mostly because she wasn't sure if she was going to be here. It's a long story. So anyway, welcome back, everybody. We are continuing our discussion with retirement and annuities, and we've been walking through some of the questions that you want to think about regarding your retirement. So now we're going to break down what an annuity is, what it isn't, how they work, what they look like, and whether or not it's suitable for you. And I'm going to use that word suitable one more time in the context of this thing called fiduciary. Fiduciaries often say, we don't sell anything to you that isn't in your benefit. Well, in the insurance world, folks, we have suitability rules that are very rigidly controlled. In addition to that, we have to take some tests and study materials to make sure that we understand how annuities work, because they're not meant for everybody. They're not meant for everybody. If you only have $100,000 in your portfolio, there are some brokers that would take them in a heartbeat, and that's sad commentary. I won't. I can't do it. I walked away probably from 3 or 4, and here's one of the reasons. Annuities, by their very nature, are not necessarily liquid instruments. They're not like a bank account or a stock portfolio, or even to some degree a 401k. 401ks are liquid per se, even though they're taxable, and if you take the money at the wrong time, you're going to get penalized. But CDs are meant to be a product that you give an X number of dollars to the insurance company to keep safe. The money then is subject to what's called a surrender period. And a surrender period could be anywhere from 3 years to 15 years. In my office, we won't sell anything more than 10 years. And again, that depends on what your goals and objectives are, what your income needs are, what your portfolio needs are, or we're just setting the money over there and let it ride because I don't want it or need it. This is for my kids, or whatever your goals are. But we have suitability rules that we have to follow, because we can't just take money and say, okay, Sean, we're going to take your $250,000 and give it to XYZ and annuity company without knowing the full package of your financial situation. So we're going to ask questions like, how much do you have in your checking account? How much do you have in your savings? Do you have any stock or bond portfolios, brokerage accounts? How much is in your 401k? Do you still have a mortgage? Do you have any credit card debt? What's your net worth? Bunch of questions like this. And some people, admittedly, when we're doing these kind of questions, start to get a little bit, hey, wait a minute, you're not my financial guy. And I'm like, listen, I have to ask these questions, because if you're going to give me $250,000, I got to make sure that you've got enough liquidity that if something happens, you're not calling me 3 years from now and asking to pull the money out of the account and getting whacked for an 8 or 7% penalty. So, to the extent that we may not be fiduciary per se, we are absolutely fiduciaries in making sure that the product that we're showing you is suitable for you. So, that being said, an annuity is designed for money to grow tax-deferred. So, while it's in the vehicle and it's growing, you're not paying taxes on a dime. Can't say that about a brokerage account. If you have a brokerage account, every year at the end of the year, you're going to get 1099 forms about dividends that were released or long-term gains that were sold either by your mutual fund or by you if you sold a stock or bond. So these are accounts that are by their very nature tax-deferred accounts. They can be taxable for sure once you start, and they are taxable for sure once you start drawing the money. If they're in an IRA, because you need that money to be safe, that's growing tax deferred, no different than your 401k, but at least it's safe from market downturns. If it's non-qualified money, meaning like a brokerage account, non-IRA money, it's taxable subject to growth. And the taxation for an annuity is last in, first out. So your interest gets charged first before you start grabbing the principal. If it's IRA money, it's all taxable. If it's Roth IRA money, you might say, well, why is it in an annuity? And I would say the same reason that you just put IRA money in. You don't want to lose it. And that's why millions of dollars today are going into annuities of various kinds. And there are various kinds of annuities. So first you want to understand that there is a surrender charge, and the surrender charge can be anywhere from 3 years to 15 years. The second part is that it's tax deferred. It's growing tax deferred, so while it's growing, you're not paying income tax at all on that account. Then the third, amongst things, another consideration is what kind. Am I going into a fixed account where I'm just getting an interest rate for 3 years or 5 years, just like a CD? and then I have to do something with it? Or am I putting this money into a vehicle such that I want to be able to draw income from it at some point in time when I'm ready to draw income? Those are called fixed indexed annuities. The fixed annuity is basically like a CD. You're going to get an interest rate. You've got surrender charges. Usually those are 3 to 5 years, maybe 7 in some cases, but they're usually short-term vehicles. The fixed index annuities are generally going to be somewhere between 5 and 10 years, and most of them are between 7 and 10 years. But you have the option of turning on the income in most cases, not all, but most cases, within 30 days or a year of putting the money in there, depending on the kind of product you're buying. And that's up to the broker or advisor to ferret that stuff out. What do you want? What's this money for? Is this income? Is this growth? Is this your kids or your grandkids' college money? Is it meant to be a down payment for one of your kids for a house? What's the money for? Is it emergency money for long-term care? What's the money for? And that's got to be ferreted out before any kind of product is discussed. So you've got fixed annuities and you've got fixed indexed annuities. Now I'm going to throw one more type of annuity. We don't sell these because you have to be Series 6 or 63 licensed, but they're called variable annuities. And these kinds of annuities are subject to market downturns. Unlike a fixed indexed annuity that might be tied to the S&P 500, for example, or some other kind of index. That's why it's called a fixed indexed annuity. The variable annuity has mutual funds in them, and that's perfectly fine, but then the buyer really needs to be astute as to why he or she is putting money into a variable annuity. If they've got a long-term commitment to weather the ups and downs of the storm, I don't think I have a problem with putting some of your money there. I don't. Also understand, though, that those variable annuities typically come in with what are called M&E fees. These fees are baked into the annuity for various reasons, and they can be as high as 4.75%. So if you're earning 14.75%, for example, on your mutual fund inside of an annuity, know that you're going to net 10, because Mother Mutual is going to get the first 4.75% because they are allowed to do that. And that's where these variable annuities, when they have high fees like that, all of a sudden start to lose their luster. And the brokers that are astute in selling these things and getting them off the ground, they also are obligated to tell the buyer about what that looks like. I can also say the variable annuities, generally speaking, have shorter surrender periods, and maybe for obvious reasons, since they are subject to the market whipsaw, you don't want to put your client in a position where they can't get out, because that's really what is ultimately happening there. And so the shorter surrender periods at least allow for a client to get out if they think they're losing a lot of money. So you've got fixed annuities, you've got fixed indexed annuities that are tied to indexes but are growing tax deferred and cannot go down, short of having a built-in fee somewhere, which I'll get to in a second. Cannot go down in value. The insurance company takes a hit. And then the variable annuities, where they are completely exposed to market risk, up and down. So for some, these fixed index annuities guarantee an income and also provide what are called bonuses. If you envision two columns on a piece of paper, the left column is the real money. That's your account. In the right column, I call monopoly money. That's where you get this thing called a roll-up or a bonus when you invest the money. And the bonus can be anywhere from 5% to 30%, depending on the company and the product that you're looking at. So if you're going to do a roll-up, and let's just say you're getting a roll-up of 30%, you start with 100,000 on your account. That's what the real money is. It's 100,000. But the roll-up side, that's where the income going to come from. It's worth 130. And you might say, well, how can the insurance company just do that? They have your 100,000. They're investing your 100,000 to make sure that that's going to happen. They've also done the math to suggest that if you're going to start drawing income from it based on your age, you're not going to draw down $130,000 or $100,000 in 10 years. It's not going to happen. It's probably closer to 15 to 18 years before it draws down to zero. And again, that depends on what the indexers are doing. So again, these insurance companies are very astute in putting together these programs, but they've had to build them because the old-time annuities basically were if you died prematurely, the money would go back to the insurance company, and annuities then got a bad name, and rightfully so. These are not them, folks. Annuities are a good product to have as a part of your retirement portfolio. So there are fees built into these things sometimes to guarantee that that income continues. It also is there for something called the doubler. So let's say that you're getting $10,000 a year in income. Well, I'm going to use a real life example. This client of mine is getting $39,000 a year from income from a program that we did. 4 years from now, he suffers a catastrophic event and he has long-term care needs. The product that we put him in allows for that income to double for a period of time until his account runs to zero. And then you might say, well, Bill, if the account runs to zero, where's the income go? Well, it goes back to $39,000 because that was the promise. You would never run out of income even if the account ran to zero. So that was the promise. So there's a fee built in so that income is guaranteed. And so that if there's this, what's called a doubler is included, the insurance company is getting some leverage to be able to manage that. And it usually is about 1.25%, so it's not significant in the big picture. Keeping in mind, folks, that your fiduciary broker is charging a 1% fee on your brokerage account. So just put that in perspective. That guy can't guarantee you an income. This product does for 1% for a 1% fee. So just put that in perspective. Can you get out of an annuity? Yes. Certainly, if you pass away, you have beneficiaries that are going to be eligible to take the money. If you're doing an IRA and you were married and the surviving spouse is there, the surviving spouse, again, depending on the product, will get a guaranteed income from what you were getting. So if you're getting, in my client's case, they're getting $39,000 a year for the rest of their lives. When if the gentleman passes away and the spouse is left, the spouse will continue to get that $39,000. She won't miss a beat. She won't miss a beat. And by the way, this family still has money in the market. Why? Because you need liquidity, one. Second, you've got longevity issues that you want to have some money in a growth position so that you can grow some of your money over the long haul. So you have to have some money, whether you put the money in a CD to still keep it safe or you keep it in the market, that's totally up to you and what your goals and objectives are. But what I can tell you is, if you think about this, what is a pension? Pension is basically a promise to pay for the rest of your life. And it came from the corporation. And they made a promise to pay you a pension plan. A lot of companies have gotten rid of their pensions because, honestly, they're too expensive to manage, especially when the markets take a hit. Because the corporation has to make those pension plans whole so they can meet their fiduciary demands of paying their beneficiaries their income, which is what they promised. That's an annuity. What is Social Security? Social Security is a promise to pay. You put in 12.4% between you and your employer over the last 30 or 40 years. That's a ton of money. It's almost embarrassing how much money that could be for some people, and how much it really could be if it was allowed to be invested in something other than a T-bill. But I digress. That's a guaranteed income. Now, the difference between Social Security and an annuity, or your 401k, or your brokerage account, is that if you pass away and you've got no surviving spouse, and you passed away 3 years after you retired, the government gets the rest of your money. It does not go to your kids. If your spouse is still living, then the spouse gets a piece of the Social Security check, unless that spouse's Social Security is bigger than yours. Then she's not going to get anything. So Social Security is a promise to pay, but unlike the other accounts that I just mentioned, if you die prematurely, all that money goes back into the pool and gets to pay somebody else. And if you sat down and did the math, and just did the math without any interest rate, you're probably going to have smoke billowing out of your ears seeing how much money could be wasted as a result of that. But it's a promise to pay nonetheless. And for those people that have longevity, they probably won the bet. They maybe only put a couple $100,000 in the Social Security system, and they're still living at 103. They won the bet. The same would be true with an annuity. They won the bet. They got paid way more than they put in because that was the promise. With brokerage accounts, with annuities, they all have beneficiaries. So if there is money left over, unlike Social Security, that money is going to go to whoever your beneficiaries are. It's not complicated. The only thing that you really have to overcome is how much money do you want to set aside to keep safe, and how much liquidity do you need so that you have fun money, play money, accessed at will. The money that you set aside that you want to guarantee from, that's the money you set aside into an annuity. And then when you're ready to pull the trigger, if that's your goal to take income, knock yourself out. If the goal is just to get, a tax-deferred, a decent, interest rate, like let's say 5% or 5.25% over a 5-year period, and you know you're going to get that money compounded at the end of the period, and then you roll it again, that's great. What's your goal? So as you're getting into the retirement phase, with all the processes that you've been structurally given during your working period, now it's time to unbundle this, to kind of capsulize this again. Doesn't matter how much money you've got, how much do you need on a monthly basis? What are your longevity concerns? What are your income concerns? What are your healthcare concerns? Pay attention to taxes, because it's a real number. What's your lifestyle? What do you want to do? What's retirement look like? The answers don't matter to your advisor. We can help you along the way. We can get you to the promised land to the extent you want our help. The answers only matter to you and your family, because at the end of the day, it's your money that you set aside. So with that in mind, we're coming to the top of the hour. Stay tuned for next week. I think it's going to be a taped show, folks. I'm hoping, and once I get a hold of Chris and Sean and figure out how to do a tape thing, I don't think I'll be here live because I'll be having turkey dinner with my family on Tuesday. But I hope you all have a safe, healthy Thanksgiving. I hope you are with family that you want to be with and enjoy their company. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. So love the ones you're with when they're with you. Make sure they know that you love them and they love you. Have a wonderful holiday, a safe holiday, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for listening. This is your Insurance Corner. My name is Bill Miksch. This is WLCB 101.5 FM. Have a great night, everybody.